Have you ever been at a cocktail party or any kind of situation with lots of people talking to the background and wonder how you could still manage to hear the person you're talking to? In psychology, that's called cocktail party effect, or a phenomenon refers to our capacity to tune in to a single speaker among many others in a noisy setting. This phenomenon, according to psychologists, is our remarkable and underappreciated capacity to focus our attention on just one voice among many. The cocktail party effect is the human ability to understand the discussion even when there are numerous distracting sounds and side conversations going on in the background. And it has perplexed psychologists for years. Selective auditory attention or selective hearing are other terms for it. This is the capacity of the brain to focus one's auditory attention on a single stimuli while filtering out a variety of other stimuli, such as when a partygoer can concentrate on a single discussion in a noisy environment.
Who discovered the cocktail party effect? It was discovered in the 1950s by a cognitive scientist named Colin Cherry. Colin Cherry was an English scientist who worked on electric circuits, telecommunication principles, and psychology of speech and hearing. Cherry wanted to understand what people focus on and why. After researching the dynamics of a noisy room, he discovered something interesting. Our brain separates overlapping conversations into different auditory streams. It can then decide to ignore information that isn't relevant for us. He conducted a series of experiments to determine how people listen. In the first, he played back two different messages through both ears of a set of headphones. He then asked the participants to write down one of the messages. After some efforts and concentration, they could eventually separate one of the messages from another. The real surprise, though, was came in the second series of experiments. Here, the participants were played one of the messages to the left ear and the messages to the right ear. Suddenly, they could separate the messages from each other and even shift their attention between the two.
You can only focus on a few stimuli at any given time. Other sounds are then perceived more dimly and remain in what listening researchers call the margin. Selective listening has two paths that have been particularly productive. These are the studies in dichotic listening and speech shadowing. Dichotic listening occurs when you receive two messages simultaneously, one in one ear and one in the other ear. Whenever there is noise around you, it is almost inevitable that you will be distracted, that you will hear at least part of the second message. Familiar voices and emotionally laden words are powerful in drawing our attention away from the primary messages. In some situations, you may choose to listen dichotically. Shadowing occurs when you repeat a continuous verbal message as you hear it, according to Morey, 1969. Most people can learn to accurately track a verbal messages at rates up to 150 words per minute. Although you may not see the point in verbal tracking, researchers have found it an important tool in investigation of hearing. Clearly, when you successfully shadow a message, it's guaranteed that you are paying attention to it.
Just like how it was explained, it is our ability to focus our attention to one sound in a noisy environment. We are able to separate or filter out the sound from the ones we are paying attention to rather than the noise or conversations around us. One of the best examples that best explains this effect is when we are exposed in a noisy environment. For example, a party that is full of laughter, loud music, and any other noise. If you are talking to your friend or companion, you are able to listen and understand what they are saying and ignore the other noises nearby. With too many people conversing around you from different directions, we are able to fully understand the information that we are interested and focused, thus rejecting and absorbing little information to the sound we aren't paying attention to. The same effect can also be applied when you're walking down the streets with your friend, having little conversations. Despite the commotion or noises, despite the difference in volume, you are able to understand what phrases or words your friends are saying without getting that much distracted to the sound of your surroundings.